The miscalculation. High Admiral Vexthor stood at the command bridge of the Drakari flagship Eternal Dawn, his silver-scaled hands clasped behind his back as he studied the holographic projection of Earth. The third planet of this unremarkable solar system hung before him like a blue jewel, peaceful and seemingly defenseless. His mandibles clicked in what passed for a smile among his species. "Final analysis of the target world?" he asked, his voice resonating through the crystalline chamber. Science Officer Melera approached, her neural interface streaming data directly to the ship's systems. "The species calls themselves humans. Admiral. Technology level. Pre-stellar civilization. Their most advanced weapons rely on chemical propulsion and crude nuclear fission. No energy shields, no quantum computing, no gravitational manipulation capabilities." "Trivial," Vexthor dismissed with a wave of his hand. "Another simple conquest for the glory of the Drakari Empire. What of their defensive capabilities?" "Their military forces are divided into regional factions. They maintain approximately 150 million active and reserve personnel globally, but their equipment would be considered obsolete by our standards. Most concerning is their tendency toward unpredictable behavior and their high reproductive rate." Vexthor's secondary eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of mild amusement. "Irrelevant. Our biomechanical ground forces are specifically engineered for rapid planetary subjugation. Begin the deployment sequence." The massive invasion fleet, hidden behind Earth's moon, sprung to life. 5,000 ships, each carrying hundreds of Drakari warriors in their battle suits, moved into attack formation. The suits were masterpieces of engineering, enhancing their natural strength and agility, while providing protection against most known weapons. First contact occurred at 3:47 GMT. The initial wave of drop pods pierced Earth's atmosphere like artificial meteors, targeting major military installations across the globe. Warning systems blared in command centers worldwide, but humanity had barely begun to process the reality of alien invasion when the pods began their final descent. That's when everything started to go wrong for the Drakari. The first sign of trouble came from Pod Squadron Alpha, descending toward a military base in Colorado. "Warning, gravitational anomaly detected," the automated systems announced. "Compensators operating beyond design parameters." Inside his pod, squad leader Kexren felt the increasing pressure as Earth's gravity took hold. The Drakari homeworld had gravity roughly 70% of Earth's, and their battle suits were calibrated accordingly. Now, as the full force of Earth's pull grabbed at them, the suit's servo motors whined in protest. "Control, we're experiencing system strain," Kexran reported, fighting against the growing weight of his own armor. "Request immediate." His transmission cut off as the pod's stabilization systems failed. Across the globe, similar scenes played out as the carefully orchestrated invasion began to unravel. Pods designed for precision landing instead crashed with bone-crushing force. Battle suits meant to make their warriors unstoppable instead became metal coffins, their wearers struggling against the unexpected weight. In the Colorado base, Master Sergeant Sarah Chen watched through night vision binoculars as the alien pods slammed into the ground with far more force than seemed intended. "Ma'am," she reported to her commanding officer, "these things are having trouble just getting up." Through her scope, she could see the alien warriors struggling to rise, their sophisticated armor moving with all the grace of a drunk wearing a medieval suit of plate mail. One managed to stand, took 2 stumbling steps, then toppled over like a felled tree. Back on the Eternal Dawn, Vexthor watched in growing horror as failure reports flooded in from all invasion sites. "Impossible," he hissed. "How are they compensating for our technology? Where are their gravitational dampeners?" Melera's voice shook as she delivered her revised analysis. "Sir, they're not using any technology. We made a critical error in our preliminary surveys." As the first human military units cautiously approached the crashed invasion forces, they found their alien would-be conquerors struggling just to move. The mighty Drakari Empire, which had subjugated dozens of worlds, was being defeated not by advanced weapons or superior tactics, but by the simple, implacable force of Earth's gravity. The first day of the invasion was about to become a lesson in hubris that the Dracari would never forget. Heavy metal. At the United Nations Emergency Security Council meeting, screens displayed live feeds from around the globe. Military leaders from various nations watched with a mixture of disbelief and growing confidence as their forces continued to report similar scenes. Advanced alien warriors trapped within their own sophisticated armor, struggling against Earth's gravity. General Elena Rodriguez of the Pan American Defense Force stood at the podium, her voice steady as she delivered her assessment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're dealing with a technologically superior species that has made one critical mistake. They've never had to evolve under our planetary conditions. The screens behind her showed thermal imagery of Dracari troops attempting to regroup. Their movements were sluggish, their advanced battle suits more hindrance than help. What should have been an overwhelming force was instead a collection of exhausted, over-encumbered soldiers fighting their own equipment. Their battle suits, Rodriguez continued, appear to be powered by some form of exotic energy source. Our scientists theorize that Earth's stronger gravitational field is causing these power systems to work against themselves, creating a feedback loop that increases the effective weight of their armor. In orbit, Admiral Vexthor faced a mounting crisis. The Dracari fleet, designed for swift, overwhelming victory, now hung in space as its ground forces floundered. His communication officer reported another failed attempt to retrieve their stranded troops. The transport ships, calibrated for their homeworld specifications, struggled to achieve stable flight paths in Earth's atmosphere. Send in the autonomous units, Vexthor ordered, mandibles clicking in frustration. They don't require life support. They should be able to operate in these conditions. On the ground, Master Sergeant Chen and her unit watched as new pods entered the atmosphere. These contained robotic warriors, gleaning machines that unfolded from their landing capsules like deadly chrome flowers. For a moment, it seemed the tide might turn, until the robots attempted to move. The machine's actuators and joints, precisely engineered for optimal performance under standard Dracari conditions, groaned under Earth's enhanced gravity. Their movements, designed to be lightning fast, became jerky and unpredictable. Some units simply collapsed, their internal mechanisms unable to compensate for the increased strain. Target their joints, Chen ordered her squad. Their systems are already stressed. Let's help them along. Precision fire from human weapons found weak points in the robots' struggling forms. Units that might have been nearly invincible under normal conditions fell to conventional arms, their sophisticated systems betrayed by simple physics. Back on the Eternal Dawn, Science Officer Melera made a disturbing discovery. Admiral, she reported, her scales paling, the humans are adapting our technology. They've begun salvaging components from our fallen units. Indeed, human engineers had already started examining the crashed pods and disabled battle suits. Unlike the Dracari, who relied on technological solutions, humans excelled at improvisation. They didn't need to understand how the alien technology worked. They just needed to understand how it failed. Military bases worldwide became impromptu research centers. Scientists and engineers worked alongside soldiers, studying the alien equipment. They discovered that while the Dracari technology was far advanced, its very sophistication made it vulnerable to Earth's conditions. Look at this, Dr. James Wong, a physicist at the Colorado facility, explained to General Rodriguez via secure video link. He held up a component salvaged from a Dracari battlesuit. Their power systems use some form of quantum field manipulation. Under Earth's gravity, these fields become distorted, creating cascade failures throughout their equipment. The humans began developing countermeasures, not by matching the Dracari's technology, but by exploiting its weaknesses. They modified their weapons to target the aliens' power systems, turning their own sophisticated technology against them. Vexthor watched in mounting horror as human forces began to move with increasing confidence. They didn't just defeat his troops. They learned from each engagement, adapted their tactics, and grew stronger. His empire's technological superiority, maintained across countless conquered worlds, meant nothing in the face of humanity's brutal efficiency. "They're not just surviving," Mel-Era observed, her voice tinged with a mixture of fear and admiration. "They're treating our invasion as a learning opportunity. Every failed attack gives them more insight into our weaknesses." The humans had transformed their disadvantage into an advantage. Their primitive weapons, designed to work under Earth's conditions, proved more reliable than the Drakari's advanced arsenal. Their bodies, evolved over millions of years to handle Earth's gravity, moved with natural grace while their invaders struggled like insects in amber. As the second day of the invasion dawned, humanity had done more than just resist. They had begun to turn the tables. The Drakari's technological superiority, once their greatest strength, had become their greatest vulnerability. The question was no longer whether Earth would fall, but how much the invaders would lose in their failed attempt to conquer it. Adaptation is key. The Drakari's quantum core hummed with unstable energy as Dr. Wong and his team carefully extracted it from the disabled battlesuit. 3 days into the invasion, human scientists had moved from observation to experimentation. The alien technology that had once seemed impossibly advanced was slowly yielding its secrets. The beauty of it, Wong explained to the assembled military leaders, is that they never designed their systems to handle gravitational stress. They assumed they'd always operate in controlled conditions. He gestured to the holographic display, showing the core's internal structure. Their quantum fields become increasingly unstable under Earth's gravity. We can use that. In orbit, the Drakari fleet faced its own crisis. Admiral Vexthor stood before the Imperial Council's holographic projection, his scales dulled with stress. "The humans are not just resisting," he reported. "They're weaponizing our own technology against us. They've begun modifying their primitive projectile weapons with salvaged components from our battlesuits." The council members shifted uncomfortably. One spoke, her voice heavy with concern. "Can they truly understand our technology so quickly?" "They don't need to understand it," Vexthor replied. "They only need to understand how it fails. And in that, they're proving dangerously efficient." On the ground, Master Sergeant Chen's unit demonstrated this efficiency. They had modified their standard rifles with salvaged Drakari power cells, calibrating them to exploit the aliens' vulnerability to Earth's gravity. Each shot now carried a quantum disruption field that intensified the gravitational effects on Drakari equipment. "Target their power distribution nodes," Chen ordered as her unit engaged a group of struggling Drakari warriors. The aliens' movements were still hampered by Earth's gravity, and now each human shot made their problems worse, creating localized gravity wells that turned their advanced armor into dead weight. The Drakari attempted to adapt. Their engineers worked frantically to modify their equipment, trying to compensate for Earth's conditions. But each modification introduced new complexities, new possibilities for failure. Their technology, designed for elegance and efficiency, became increasingly unstable as they pushed it beyond its design parameters. Meanwhile, humanity's primitive technology proved remarkably effective. Traditional ballistic weapons, simple combustion engines, and basic mechanical systems all functioned perfectly under Earth's gravity. The humans' technological disadvantage had become a tactical advantage. "They're learning too quickly," Mel-Era reported to Vexthor, analyzing data from the latest engagements. "Each failed attack, each disabled unit, provides them with more information. They're not just surviving our technology, they're evolving it." In laboratories worldwide, human scientists collaborated, sharing discoveries and innovations. They found that the Drakari's quantum field technology, when properly destabilized, could be used to create localized gravitational anomalies. What had been a weakness in the alien systems became a weapon in human hands. Dr. Wong's team made a breakthrough when they successfully reversed-engineered a Drakari power core. "Their technology isn't just failing under Earth's gravity," he announced. "It's actively fighting against it. By redirecting that resistance, we can create devastating effects. The first deployment of human-modified Drakari technology came during a counterattack in the Siberian front. As alien forces attempted to establish a beachhead, human forces unleashed weapons that turned the invaders' own gravitational struggles against them. Battle suits seized up, power systems overloaded, and entire squadrons of Drakari warriors found themselves pinned by their own augmented weight. In orbit, Vex Thor watched the disaster unfold. How? He demanded. How are they doing this? Mel-Era's analysis was sobering. They're not trying to master our technology, Admiral. They're weaponizing its failures. Every system we deploy, every adaptation we attempt, gives them more opportunities to exploit our fundamental weakness. The humans had done more than resist. They had turned the entire invasion into a learning experience. Each Drakari attack provided new technology to study, new weaknesses to exploit. The invaders' superior technology, designed for perfect efficiency, proved catastrophically vulnerable to human ingenuity. Military leaders worldwide began to see a pattern in the Drakari's attempts to adapt. The aliens' responses were predictable, based on their technological paradigms. But humans, accustomed to working with imperfect solutions, proved far more flexible. They keep trying to solve gravity, General Rodriguez observed during a strategic briefing. But we've been living with it our entire existence. We don't need to solve it. We just need to use it. As the third day of the invasion drew to a close, the balance of power had shifted dramatically. The Drakari's technological superiority, once their greatest asset, had become a liability. Their every attempt to adapt provided humanity with new weapons to turn against them. The question was no longer whether Earth could resist the invasion, but how much of the aliens' advanced technology they would capture and repurpose before the Drakari realized the full extent of their miscalculation. Breaking point. The command deck of the Eternal Dawn had grown eerily quiet. Admiral Vex Thor stood motionless before the tactical display, watching as more red indicators signaled lost units and failed operations. 4 days into what should have been a routine conquest, the mighty Drakari Empire faced an unprecedented crisis. The Imperial Council demands answers, his executive officer reported, mandibles twitching nervously. 3 more colony fleets have gone dark. They're refusing to enter Earth's gravity well. Vex Thor's scales rippled with suppressed rage. Cowards. They fear a primitive world because of its physical properties. But even as he spoke, he knew their fear was justified. The humans weren't just surviving. They were systematically dismantling the Drakari's carefully constructed image of invincibility. Below, on Earth's surface, that dismantling continued with ruthless efficiency. Master Sergeant Chen's unit had been transformed from a conventional infantry force into something entirely new. They moved through the battlefield wearing modified versions of salvaged Drakari armor, stripped down and reinforced to work with Earth's gravity rather than against it. They're trying another orbital drop, Chen reported, watching through enhanced optics as new pods entered the atmosphere. Different design this time. Looks like they're attempting to compensate for gravitational stress. But the humans were ready. Dr. Wang's team had developed what they called gravity anchors, devices that used modified Drakari quantum technology to create localized gravitational distortions. As the pods descended, these anchors activated, turning Earth's natural gravity from an environmental factor into a weapon. The new Drakari pods, designed to compensate for Earth's gravity, instead found themselves pulled apart by forces they couldn't possibly have been engineered to withstand. What was meant to be a precision deployment became another scattered field of wreckage. On the Eternal Dawn, Science Officer Mel-Era faced her own crisis of conscience. Her latest analysis revealed something disturbing. The humans weren't just adapting Drakari technology, they were improving it. Where Drakari engineers tried to overcome Earth's gravity through brute force, humans worked with it, creating hybrid systems that were more effective than the originals. Admiral, she began, her voice trembling slightly. I believe we need to consider withdrawal. The humans' rate of technological adaptation is unprecedented. If we continue to engage them, we risk silence. Vexthor roared, his composure finally breaking. We are the Drakari Empire. We do not retreat from primitives. But his outburst betrayed the fear that had begun to grip the invasion force. The Drakari's entire society was built on technological superiority, on the assumption that their advanced civilization could dominate any primitive world they encountered. Earth was destroying that assumption, one failed attack at a time. In the United Nations Command Center, General Rodriguez watched the ongoing space battle with grim satisfaction. The Drakari fleet, initially positioned for a swift victory, now found itself in an increasingly defensive posture. Their ships, designed for the precise conditions of space, struggle to operate in Earth's orbital environment. They're fighting themselves more than they're fighting us, she observed. Every system they engage, every weapon they fire, has to work against Earth's gravity, and they still haven't learned to account for it. The human counterattack was methodical and relentless. Ground-based gravity anchors created zones of intensified gravitational force, turning simple orbital mechanics into a deadly trap for Drakari ships. The aliens' sophisticated targeting systems, confused by gravitational lensing effects, became increasingly unreliable. But the real breaking point came from within the Drakari ranks. As news of their failures spread through the fleet, discipline began to crack. Ships' crews, witnessing their invincible technology fail again and again, started questioning their commander's judgment. "We're detecting unusual communications between their vessels," reported a human signals analyst. "Looks like arguments. Some of them want to retreat. Others are insisting they continue the attack." The Drakari Empire, built on absolute obedience and technological supremacy, faced something it had never encountered before: doubt. Their warriors, raised to believe in their innate superiority, watched as humans turned their own advanced technology against them with devastating effectiveness. Mel'ara, watching the growing chaos, made one final attempt to reason with her commander. "Admiral, the humans aren't just resistant to our technology. They're learning from every engagement, adapting faster than we can respond. If we stay, we prove our worth." Vexthor interrupted, but his voice lacked conviction. The tactical display told a different story. Human forces were no longer just defending. They were launching coordinated attacks, using salvaged and modified Drakari technology with a creativity that bordered on artistic. As the fourth day of the invasion drew to a close, the mighty Drakari Empire faced not just a military defeat, but an existential crisis. Their technology, the foundation of their perceived superiority, had become their greatest weakness. And the humans, those primitives they had so gravely underestimated, were proving that true advancement came not from having perfect technology, but from the ability to adapt and overcome in the face of adversity. Victory through physics. Dawn broke over Earth's horizon, marking the beginning of the fifth day of the invasion. In low orbit, the once proud Drakari fleet hung in disarray, their formations broken, their technological superiority shattered by the simple, implacable force of Earth's gravity. Admiral Vexthor stood alone on his command deck, his proud posture finally broken. The tactical displays showed the inevitable truth: the Drakari Empire, which had conquered countless worlds, was about to suffer its first major defeat at the hands of a primitive species. "Admiral," Mel'ara's voice was soft but firm, "the humans are broadcasting a message. They're requesting our surrender." The irony was not lost on Vexthor. His invasion force, meant to subjugate Earth, now faced annihilation not from superior weapons, but from the planet itself and the species that had evolved to master its harsh conditions. On Earth, Dr. Wong and his team had made their final breakthrough. They had fully understood the fatal flaw in Drakari technology: its fundamental inability to handle variable gravitational conditions. The aliens' quantum field technology, designed for precise, controlled environments became catastrophically unstable when forced to operate under changing gravitational forces. "We don't need to fight them," Wang explained to the assembled military leadership. "We just need to show them they can't fight us." The human counterattack began with a synchronized activation of gravity anchors worldwide. These devices, reverse-engineered from salvaged Dracari technology, created a cascading network of gravitational distortions that reached into orbit. The effect was devastating. Dracari ships, already struggling with Earth's natural gravity, found themselves caught in a web of fluctuating gravitational fields. Their quantum drives, designed for the precision of space, began to fail catastrophically. Warning signals blared throughout the fleet as systems overloaded. "What are they doing?" Vex Thor demanded, watching as his ships began to lose power and position. "How are they controlling gravity itself?" Mel Era's analysis was quick and devastating. "They're not controlling it, Admiral. They're letting it run wild. Our systems can't handle the unpredictability. We designed our technology to master natural forces, but the humans, they've learned to work with them." Master Surgeon Chen and her unit watched from their command post as the sky lit up with failing Dracari ships. Their modified armor, now a hybrid of human pragmatism and alien technology, protected them from the gravitational chaos above. "They never understood," Chen remarked, watching through her enhanced visor. "We didn't need to be stronger than them. We just needed to be stronger than our own world." The Dracari fleet's organization completely broke down. Ships that tried to retreat found their quantum drives failing, their navigation systems unable to compensate for the ever-changing gravitational landscape. Those that attempted to fight back discovered their weapons were useless, their targeting systems confused by gravitational lensing effects. In the United Nations Command Center, General Rodriguez watched the culmination of humanity's defense. "They came here thinking technology made them invincible," she observed. "They never realized that true strength comes from adapting to adversity, not trying to overcome it." The end came swiftly. The proud Dracari fleet, unable to fight or flee, hung helpless in Earth's orbit. Their mighty technology, the basis of their empire's power, had been turned against them by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Admiral Vex Thor, standing amidst the ruins of his command, finally understood. The humans hadn't beaten them with superior technology or greater numbers. They had won because they understood something the Dracari had forgotten: the power of adaptation. "Send the signal," he ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. "We surrender." The message spread through the fleet, and across the galaxy, the impossible news began to circulate. The mighty Dracari Empire had been defeated by a pre-stellar civilization, not through advanced weapons or superior tactics, but through the simple mastery of their own world's harsh conditions. As human forces began the process of securing their victory, Dr. Wang made one final observation that would echo through the annals of history. They thought they were superior because they had conquered nature through technology. We proved stronger because we learned to work with nature, to adapt and thrive in conditions they considered impossible. The invasion of Earth became a turning point in galactic history. The Dracari Empire's defeat served as a powerful reminder that true advancement came not from technological superiority, but from the ability to adapt, to learn, and to turn apparent disadvantages into strengths. Humanity had not just defended their world, they had demonstrated a fundamental truth that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of civilization itself. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies not in mastering the universe, but in learning to work with its fundamental forces. As the sun set on the fifth day, Earth stood not just undefeated, but stronger. The humans had gained not only a victory, but also a wealth of advanced technology that they would adapt and improve in their own unique way. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as innovators who understood that true power came from adaptation rather than domination.